Shabbat Shalom. And Toda, Rabbi O and Rabbi Rachel, who's somewhere here, for sharing their bima and allowing me to share my thoughts, reflections, and also a bit of next steps for us Jews who don't necessarily live in Israel year-round. But where do I start? I guess from what is basic and very personal for me. I'm fighting for Judaism, for democracy, and for peoplehood. I'm fighting to keep the miracle of a Jewish democratic state alive, inspiring, relevant, nuanced, and just. I'm fighting to keep our bayit, our home, a joint home, a bayit mishutaf for everyone who lives there and for Jews all around the world. For the past 29 weeks, I've been participating in protests on almost a weekly basis, either in Yerushalayim, New York City, or Philadelphia. It feels good to be active in pushing for change. It feels good to stand with many other Israelis who usually don't really get the rabbi thing, and listening to leaders from across the Jewish world, to people sharing their ideology, members of Knesset, and more. It is empowering, inspiring, and comforting that in Israel and here, as I march, we carry the same signs, we chant the same chants, we share a passion. I was deeply moved marching side by side with the diverse community of my beloved city, Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, with my professors and mentors from HUC and Hebrew University, with the owner of the little makolet, the little shop on Kakal Street where I lived for many years, marching side by side with Hanan, the best hairdresser Jerusalem has to offer. I was marching with multi-generational families, grandparents, children, grandchildren, Muslims, Jews, Christians, young and young at heart. We all came together asking Bibi Netanyahu and his government to stop, to commit to a conversation, to think about the greater good of the Jewish people, to step away from the extremists, and listening to the plea of the millions asking him just to slow down. On Monday afternoon, after a visit to the Israeli aquarium, which I highly recommend anyone who's going to Israel, it's air-conditioned and it's beautiful, I made my way with a few friends to the Knesset to protest against the 64 members of Knesset voting for the dismissal of the reasonableness clause and supporting the 56 members of Knesset who boycott the vote. It was a very hot and humid day, yet the spirits were high. All along the streets, I saw small groups of people having heated and respectful conversations, sharing concerns and sharing hopes. When the upsetting news from inside the building trickled outside, the atmosphere changed. Along with many others, I too was deeply disappointed and very upset. I expected to feel very defeated. This Shabbat is the first Shabbat of 7 Shabbatot of consolation, Sheva Shabbatot of Nechama. They lead us from Tisha B'Av to Rosh Hashanah, and if you are a school student or work in the educational system, it also means that school is starting very soon. And we read the first parasha, the first haftarah of Nechama, Isaiah's words to his people. Nachamu, nachamu ami, yomar Elohechem. Comfort my people, comfort them, says our God. And for the first time, these words really hit home. Is there consolation after such destruction? How can one not feel defeated? Rabbi Mori Lidar, a colleague and a municipal rabbi of the Gilboa region up north, shared in his interpretation for this Shabbat, for this haftarah. I'm going to read it in Hebrew and I'll give it my loose translation. נחמו נחמו, ברבים ולא ביחיד, במעגל, במפגש, בשיח, בחיבור, בשיתוף, במשפחה. נחמו נחמו בעיניים הטובות שפגשנו בדרך, במי שצעד איתנו, במי שנתן לנו דגל ופרי ומן. נתנחם בעצמנו ונאמין ביכולת שלנו לבנות כאן בית ראוי. לא בזעם כי אם ברוך, ואמונה והתמדה ואהבה, ודיבור הלב על ירושלים. ברוך אתה אדוני, הנותן ליעף כוח, ולאין אונים עוצמה ירבה. Nachamu, nachamu is in plural, not in singular. Nachamu, find comfort in conversations that we had. Comfort with those who marched alongside us, those who handed us a flag, a bottle of water, fruit. We will find comfort from within ourselves and the community we built here and continue to believe in our ability to build a worthy home for our people, not in fury, but in gentleness, with faith, determination, and perseverance. Baruch atah Adonai, blessed are you, God, restoring vigor to the weary and strength for those not answered. I am a pessimist. I see the empty half of any glass. On Monday afternoon, after the vote in the Knesset passed, I expected the best of my pessimism to show up in all its sarcastic glory. But instead, I really felt what Rabbi Mori wrote. I felt the power of the protest, the power of this diverse community coming together, determined to continue the commitment to a shared home. Like our ancestors, we mourn the loss, the ignorance, the hybris, and we find consolation in the civil movement that we have created. The crowd I stood with felt defeated, yet committed to not let defeat settle in, committed to step up every week, everywhere in the world. We are committed to find nechama and tikva, to find consolation and hope. We are committed to take action and to be active. Back in February, Ehud and I schlepped Noga and Matan to one of the protests. It was a very cold and windy Sunday. We stood on the steps in front of somewhere in Philadelphia, and Noga asked, "This is it? We just come and stand?" And we said, yeah, that's what we do. We come. This is how we challenge, inspire, and create change for Israel. We can't vote, but we can commit to showing up even when it's not 100% comfortable, physically or ideologically. I march shoulder to shoulder with people who think differently about Judea and Samaria, about Shabbat, about circumcision, about kashrut, and much more. Yet we are all committed to a conversation. We are all committed to find the fine balance of Jewish and democratic. This week's parasha, Parashat Va'etchanan, we read the Ten Commandments and the Shema. It's a symbolic back and forth between the universalism and the particularism that Jews have to offer. It's a reminder that the most fundamental moral truth and of our belief of Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. We are all in this together. We all have a piece in this outcome, but not equally. Those who will suffer the most are those who are already weakened: the Palestinians, the LGBTQ community in Israel, women, the poor, and the disadvantaged. These are the people who have lost their protection, and we are fighting for them and also for us. This is what peoplehood means to me. At this time, it is my responsibility, not as an Israeli citizen, but as a Jew, to show up for our future. I believe it is our responsibility to show up, to make it clear to the Israeli government that their actions have an impact on every Jew living in every part of this globe. This act of peoplehood, of showing up, also has an impact on the Israeli community living outside of Israel. For many, it is the first time they feel a connection to a Jewish community and to Judaism that is not just a Chabad house in India or South America. For the Israeli community abroad living here, listening to rabbis and Jewish educators speak passionately and take action for Israel is an experience they have never had. And they too understand that there is meaning in this Jewish and democratic, that this fight is not just for them and for their families, but it's for all of us, the entire world Jewry. In Israel, the children's game Simon Says is called, if anyone knows, לא, מה פתאום שמעון אומר? No, it's like Gaga is not an Israeli game, I just want to say. It's Herzl Amar, that's what we play in Israel. So it's Herzl Amar, Herzl said, and one of the best signs that someone picked up on Tuesday morning after the vote was Herzl said, Herzl Amar lo leharim yadayim. Herzl said not to give up. And I'm with that. This is what we need to do now. We can't give up. We don't give up. We continue to protest. We continue to fight. Herzl said to show up. And if you can, support it financially. If you can learn the issue. Ask the questions. Speak about it. Sound your concerns, your dismay, your love, and your commitment to the state of Israel. So I don't know if I have any words of nechama, but I know that being part of this huge commitment to a Jewish and democratic state in Israel has been an amazing experience and something that I wish more and more of our community will join and will feel. There is a power in it that is like nothing else. I can share later all the WhatsApp groups and all the Facebook groups that you can learn where the protests go, what you can do, and how you can help Israel continue to be a democratic and Jewish state. So, toda rabba and Shabbat Shalom.